A woman travels to China and unknowingly gets sick with an unknown virus. When she gets home with her family, her condition worsens and she dies, but the doctors don't know what it is. Several days later, many people get sick and die. Scientists manage to find the cause of the virus and how it originated. The virus is from a bat combined with a pig. Welcome to Worth Recap. This time I show you the movie Contagion. Day 2. It all starts with Beth, who is about to return from her trip to China. In Hong Kong, a person returns home from her work, but it is noticeable that he is a little sick. When he arrives at his house, he is still very bad. In England, a woman is very ill. When she returns to her house, her relatives find her dead. In Japan, a man begins to feel bad on a bus, causing him to faint and die. All people are scared. We return to the man from Hong Kong who gets into an elevator and begins to cough. When he goes out into the street, his vision becomes blurry. At that moment, he starts to cross the street and is run over. Day 3, we meet Dr. Ellis Cheever, who talks to a hospital employee. In California, we meet Alan and Lorraine. They are both reporters who are watching the recording of the person from Japan who died on the bus, and Alan tells him that it is possibly a new virus. Beth returns from her trip and we meet her husband Mitch. The next day, Mitch went to school to pick up his stepson Clark, who is sick just like his mother. At home, we see Beth, who is very sick and drops a rate. Mitch asks if she's okay, at which point Beth falls over and starts convulsing. Mitch takes Beth to the hospital and tells the doctor what happened. Beth starts convulsing again. The doctor talks to Mitch and tells him that his wife didn't resist and she passed away. The doctor says that she may have contracted a virus on her trip, and Mitch tells him that she had gone to Hong Kong. The doctor tells him that they should investigate her cause of death. Mitch is returning home when he receives a call from the babysitter, who tells him that his son is not responding. Mitch tells him to call 911. When Mitch arrives, his son is not responding. Day 5, in Switzerland, we meet Dr. Orantes. She enters the World Health Organization building and informs that several cases have been registered in Hong Kong, 2 deaths so far. Where the infections were registered, they were quarantined. 2 cases were reported in England. 2 doctors are performing an autopsy on Beth and discover something serious, and she asks her colleague to call all the doctors. Day 6, we meet Drive Mears, who arrives at the hospital and talks to Dr. Cheever about sudden patient deaths, and Dr. Cheever sends Dr. Mears to Minnesota to investigate. Mitch's daughter named Jory visits him since her father was isolated. Jory is worried about her father since he could be infected. Mitch tells her that he is fine and tells her what happened. Dr. Mears meets with several members of the Minnesota Health Department, and she explains that people are dying from an unknown disease and explains the category of some diseases, but they still don't know what it is. At the CDC, 2 scientists review the sample sent from Beth. The sample begins to be analyzed and they review the results, but they don't know what it is. Alan approaches Dr. Sussman to ask him what's going on, and Dr. Sussman doesn't answer him. Day 7, Dr. Cheever receives Mr. Dennis from the Department of Homeland Security. Both talk about the deaths, and Mr. Dennis believes that it may be a biological attack, but Dr. Cheever disagrees. In Minneapolis, several schools are closed due to the report of several cases of an unknown disease. Dr. Mears visits the company where Beth worked and begins to interview her co-workers. They are all in good health, but an employee tells her that a person went to pick up Beth at the airport. Dr. Mears quickly calls her and he asks how his health is, and he is feeling very bad on a bus. The doctor tells him to get off the bus immediately. He gets off and the doctor arrives to help him. At the hospital, Dr. Mears talks to Mitch and asks him everything her wife did to find out how she got it. Dr. Mears tells her that Beth also traveled to Chicago, but Mitch didn't know that. Dr. Ally shows the test results to Dr. Cheever and they realize that the virus has a combination of pig and bat. This virus is mutating and there is no cure to treat this virus. Dr. Cheever tells her that only level 4 should be in charge of investigating this virus. Dr. Sussman receives a call from Dr. Mears and tells him that he must delete the samples he has since only level 4 scientists can study the virus. Dr. Cheever gives a lecture and tells them the number of cases and what they are doing to stop the spread of the virus. The epidemiologist Orantes was sent to Hong Kong to investigate the origin of the virus. She begins to collect information on all the infected people. All the members of the World Health Organization get together and review the data and say that they have 169,000 cases so far and that in 48 hours it is going to increase by a large percentage. Dr. Mears tells them that she still doesn't have a cure and that they haven't been able to make any progress with the virus. Dr. Sussman was going to destroy the samples and tells his colleague to go home that he will take care of it himself. Dr. Sussman sets out to investigate the virus and manages to find something very important. Dr. Cheever and Dr. Ally received the information on the virus provided by Dr. Sussman, and thanks to him they already know what virus it is, and it was also possible to cultivate it for a possible cure. Day 12, the World Health Organization informs all members that Dr. Sussman managed to cultivate the virus, but it will take months to create a vaccine to test in humans, and so far there are 8 million people infected. Alan meets with a person who is interested in the information he handles and his followers. He is willing to pay a lot of money. Alan tells him that people will believe everything he tells them. At the hospital, Mitch is talking to Dr. Mears and tells her that he may be immune to the virus. Dr. Orantes reviews the recordings where Beth was, and tells the people there that the virus could have originated in Hong Kong, but they say that can't be. Day 14, Dr. Mears also caught the virus and calls the hospital manager to call everyone who has been in contact with her in the last 12 hours. Dr. Mears calls Dr. Cheever and tells him that she got infected and that she is sick. Cheever tells her to stay calm and rest, and that she should retire from the project. Mitch wants to bury his wife and his stepson, but the cemetery manager won't let him because of the contagion. Mitch talks to her mother-in-law and tells her that they should cremate her to say their last goodbye. Beth can be seen interacting with various people who later became ill, Dr. Orantes concluding that Beth is patient zero. Dr. Orantes has to go and send this information and leaves the place, but on her way she is kidnapped by her colleague and he tells her that this is necessary. She is taken to a small town where her partner tells her that they should receive the vaccine, and if she is here they can be the first to receive the vaccine. Dr. Mears is very sick and a colleague tells her to call Dr. Cheever. Meanwhile, Dr. Cheever asks Haggerty for help so he can bring Dr. Mears, but he says that he can't since the plane it will be used for members of the government and that after that all airports will close. Alan pretends to be sick and takes Forsythia and tells his followers that this is the cure. Dr. Cheever was watching the video. Day 14, many people are lining up to buy Forsythia, but there are only 50 doses and people get out of control and start taking the medicine by force. Mitch and his daughter go out for groceries, but the whole city is in chaos. Mitch tries to leave the city, but everything is closed and it is forbidden to go out. Alan returns home and meets Lorraine, who is ill, and asks her to give him some Forsythia, but Alan tells him that she no longer has any. Many people have died and are buried. Dr. Cheever goes to an interview and they ask him if there is a cure and he replies that there isn't yet, and then Alan is called to the interview who says that the government is conspiring with the cure to make lots of money. Alan makes strong accusations and Dr. Cheever finds himself cornered. Day 21, the virus is discovered to have mutated, and Dr. Ally is told that culturing the virus to find a cure hasn't worked so far. Day 26, all the people are gathered to receive their food kit, but it is reported that they have already run out and everyone begins to claim and loot what they can. At night, Mitch looks out the window and hears shots and sees people coming out of a house and calls the police, but the lines are jammed. Dr. Ally talks to Dr. Cheever and tells him that the vaccine could take months, and Cheever tells her that they need a vaccine right now. Dr. Ally realizes that vaccine 57 worked on a monkey, so she takes a sample and injects herself. She goes to visit her father who is sick and takes off her mask to test if the vaccine works, and it works. The vaccine is beginning to be mass-produced, but it will take several months to distribute to the entire world. Day 131, Dr. Cheever's wife is robbed in her house looking for the vaccine. Dr. Cheever comes home to see if his wife is okay. Alan is talking about how he has influenced the masses and he knows that if he says not to get vaccinated people will, and he can make a lot of money promoting Forsythia. Then he realizes he is being recorded and he is arrested for fraud and conspiracy. The draw for those who will receive the vaccine is broadcast on the news. Dr. Orantes is teaching the children of the community and they inform her that she must accompany them. Feng informs her that the vaccines must be ready if they want Dr. Orantes back. She speaks and asks them to deliver the vaccines. The person in charge gives them the vaccines and they leave the place and Dr. Orantes is free. They are both at the airport and her colleague gives her the Real vaccine and says that the vaccines they negotiated were only placebos and Dr. Orantes leaves the place. Dr. Cheever receives a couple of shots for himself and his wife, but he decides to give the shot to a worker's son, and the rest goes to his wife. Day 135. The cure continues to be developed within the laboratories to end the virus and the pandemic. Mitch gives his daughter a gift so that she has a date with her boyfriend. When he looks for the camera, he sees the photos of his wife during their trip, then he sees his daughter very happy dancing. Then we see how it all started. A bat took his food to a pig farm and he drops a piece of food which the pig ate. Then he was taken to a restaurant where Chef was checking on him and he didn't wash his hands. Chef greets Beth, thus beginning day 1 of the infection. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to see more videos like this. If you wanted to see more, I recommend this movie.